Do you ever look back at a random day and realize that's when your whole life quietly started falling apart? For me, it was March of 2019. It started with little muscle spasms, nothing painful at first, just weird random twitches. I brushed it off. I was working 12-hour shifts, 5 days a week, plus overtime. Fatigue just came with the job, but then the spasms kept coming. My doctor said post-sepsis syndrome, stress, overworking, all the usual answers. I kept going to physical therapy, pain management, anything to keep functioning. I didn't know it yet, but this was the start of a 6-year battle that would change everything. My body, my career, my entire identity. You know it's bad when every specialist sends you back to the one before them, like a medical hot potato? Primary care sent me to pain management. Pain management did nerve ablations, cortisone injections, but nothing worked, so they sent me to ortho. Ortho said it's a spine problem. Spine said ortho. Ortho said neuropsych. Neuropsych said neurology. I was told it was anxiety, trauma, stress, even accused of faking symptoms for pain meds. I'm not even joking. I had doctors say, your foot isn't really inverted, you're just doing it for attention. Meanwhile, I couldn't breathe during spasms. I was passing out from pain and still showing up to my 12-hour shifts like nothing was wrong. And it's wild to think how many people I had to convince that I was sick while trying to survive my own body. It started as a UTI. I asked to do a urine test. They told me to drink cranberry juice. And a week later, I was back with a kidney infection. I was then admitted, treated for 7 days, and sent home right before Christmas. On December 18th of 2018, I told my husband I don't think I'm going to wake up in the morning. I fell asleep and Oakley saved my life. Oakley is our rescue pup, and he is not trained to do this, but he'll check my breath to see what my blood sugar is doing during the night, and if it's too high or low, I will treat it and tell him to go back to bed. That night, he kept checking on me, and I didn't respond, and so he jumped on my husband. I was clammy, unresponsive, and my husband dialed 911, where EMS then rushed me to the hospital, and I was in sepsis. They flew me to a different hospital, and one doctor said I was an overdose, and my husband had to advocate and say, no, she is septic. When I woke up, I was in the hospital and I had a tube down my throat, and I had no idea what happened because the last thing I remember was going to bed. That was the night that everything changed. My body and life was never the same after that. By the time I got flown to Swedish Medical Center in Denver, my foot was completely twisted and inverted. They ran everything: MRIs, CTs, EMGs, spinal tap. They ruled out MS. And finally, a neurologist looked at me and said, this is dystonia. There's no cure, there's just management of symptoms. So they started Botox, 400 units every 9 weeks, 25 to 35 shots in each leg, each foot, and each toe. It was brutal, but it was something. Getting a diagnosis should have been a relief, but it was bittersweet because once you get a name for it, you realize that you're never going to be the same. After 2 years of failed treatments, my neurologist said we need to look into deep brain stimulation. I was approved under the Humanitarian Act, and surgery was set for February of 2022. I was awake during surgery when I heard the doctor say, oh shit, put her out. The imaging machine malfunctioned mid-surgery. They stopped everything. Then my surgeon broke both of her wrists before the reschedule. You literally can't make this up. 10 weeks later, I finally got it done. I was her first patient back post breaking both of her wrists. It changed everything. It's not a cure, but it gave me back pieces of my life. I did have to medically retire from being a 911 dispatcher, and we lost so much, but I'm still here. Dystonia doesn't just change your body. It changes your life, and you either give up or you fight harder. Thank you for listening to my story. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I just really hope that this helps to raise awareness for not only medical gaslighting, but believing patients and hopefully one day finding a cure for dystonia.